Hello everyone and welcome to the Chrissy B Show, the UK's only TV programme that's dedicated to your mental health and well-being. So we hope to bring you a very uplifting show today as we explore two stories of struggle and eventual success, showing you that no matter what the situation, with the right mindset and hard work, it's possible to overcome almost any obstacle. We welcome Bradley Smith onto the show, who was once homeless and suffering from depression and anxiety, but through a quirk of fate now owns his own hair salon in Heathrow Airport. He was lucky enough to work for and impress some of Britain's biggest celebrities who loved his work so much, they helped him found his salon, and the rest is history. You will not want to miss that one. We're also joined by Michael Mcdonnell, who suffers from cystic fibrosis, but despite this, has managed to create his own business consulting company and trains people on the best ways to start and maintain their business. As always, we have Dr. Rob Hicks on the show to answer your most pressing medical questions. But first up, we have our resident business expert and apprentice winner, Mark Wright, to answer your viewer questions and tell us how to build a great website. So I think he's the right person to talk on this topic, considering he's been running digital marketing company Climb Online since 2014 and shows no signs of slowing down. So let's go and see him now. Welcome to the show, Mark.
Hey, Chrissy.
Lovely to have you back on.
It's my pleasure to be here as always.
Okay, so you're going to be covering some tips for us on how to build a great website. But first, we have a couple of questions from some of our viewers for you. Should we take a look at the first one?
Let's do it.
Let's go.
What question would you like to ask Mr. Mark Wright?
How do you close a sale in under 10 minutes?
How to close a sale in under 10 minutes.
Short and sweet, isn't it?
She's like that. So my tip for this is you shouldn't need any longer than 10 minutes to close a sale. If you're taking longer than 10 minutes, you're not going to probably get a sale. You need to be selling what you know and understand. I always say go into a business that you know and understand, sell products that you know and understand, tailor your pitch to the person you're speaking to, ask them questions, get them involved in your pitch, and you'll get the sale. So talk about what you know, keep it concise, and tailor it to the person you're selling it to, and you'll get a deal in under 10 minutes. You'll probably get it under 5.
Okay, brilliant. And let's take a look at the next one, Mark.
What question would you like to ask Mr. Mark Wright?
I would like to know how I could use social media platform to expand my business.
Okay.
What a great question. How to use a social media platform to expand your business. Well, first of all, social media is fast becoming the #1 way people are finding businesses in the UK. People are engaging with social media with commercial intent. The #1 mistake I see most businesses make is they have too many social media platforms. The key that I tell all of my customers is start with 3 and do them better than anyone else. Keep the content updated regularly and use a software tool like Hootsuite or TweetDeck to manage the social media. You can schedule posts, you can automatically put things out, and you can watch what's trending in your industry. But the key thing is get on social media, to have a very few channels, start with 3 and keep them regularly updated, and the customers will come in.
Which 3 would you recommend?
I'd always start with Facebook, Twitter and Instagram. I'd start with those and have a personal LinkedIn profile for yourself and expand it once you've mastered those.
Okay, brilliant. Okay, so now, Mark,
let's do my tips.
Let's go to how to build the perfect website.
Let's do it, Chrissy. And I'm so excited about this because
it's right up your street, isn't it?
This is my business, building websites, helping businesses in the UK. I'm so excited that I've been asked to come on and talk about this, because I'm so passionate about websites, because I believe having the right website can change your business or it can break your business.
Okay, oh wow, okay, so let's go to the first point, Mark.
Well, the first tip, it might sound so obvious, Chrissy, but my first tip, everyone, is you have to have a website. We're still in a position in this country where 64% of new businesses under 1 year don't have a website, and I can't believe the statistics. Every business out there, just like having a shop front, needs to have a website.
Do you think it's because people are just relying now on the social media side, maybe just a Facebook page and that's enough?
Well, that's exactly it. People think, well, my friends and family know I've got a business and I set up on Facebook. Well, okay, that's great, but you need more customers than your friends and family and your people on Facebook. People need to find you on Google. They need to go and understand your business through the web, because that's where everyone looks for business these days.
All right, and your next point?
Well, tip number 2 is, so my second tip, everybody, is don't use a free website builder.
They look tacky, don't they?
Oh, that's so bad. And I can't believe it. People say, Mark, my website's not ranking on Google, or I'm not getting any leads through my website. And 99% of the time I scroll down to the bottom of the page and it says this is a free website builder by, for example, Wix or somebody like this. Google have said fundamentally they won't rank free website builders, and they don't prefer them for SEO. Yeah, this is really, really important.
Oh my gosh.
And I, as I've always said in a lot of my other tips, when you pay peanuts, you get monkeys.
Yes.
Okay?
That's your favourite one, isn't it?
Exactly. And if it's free, why do you think it's free? It's because Google aren't going to rank it. It's a drag and drop. It's going to look like a website that everyone else has. And every time you get a visit to the website, it gives the authority from that visit, not to your company, but the company that produced the templates for the website. So don't use it. When you get investment for your business or start your business, be prepared to spend as much on your website as you would fitting out your shop, because it is your online shop and you need to be prepared to spend money to make money.
That's a really important point, because maybe people think, oh, I'm starting a business, I need to save as much as I can to spend on maybe the marketing side, on, like going face to face, meeting customers and stuff, but then this is just so important.
It's
you can't save on
exactly. And imagine if you said, I'm going to set up this store here. I'm not going to use any paint. I'm not going to get any furniture. The customers can sit on the floor. I'm not going to have any power.
Save money.
That's what you're doing on the web.
Yeah.
But people think because it's the web, it's not more important. Well, 86% of people buy on the web before they do in store. So it's actually more important to have a better website than a shop front. But people don't invest in it soon enough, and that's probably why a lot of businesses don't make it through the first couple of years.
Excellent points. Next one.
Next one. Well, you're liking these ones.
Yes, I'm loving it.
All right, so tip 3 is update the content on your website regularly. There's nothing worse than when you go to a website and you look on their blog, or the numbers are outdated, or the content hasn't been updated since 2015. Are you mad? You have to update your content regularly. You need to keep it current. 1, because it engages your customers. 2, because Google need that information to rank you for SEO. So it's very important to keep that content fresh and updated, and keep the content between written and video. Google are saying by 2019, 80% of all search traffic will be video. So it's very important that you engage people through using video. Now, myself, I'm dyslexic. I don't like to read, and I know if I can see a page of text or watch a video, I'm always going to watch the video. So keep that content regular and make sure it's split between text and video. You'll get great SEO, but you'll engage the people coming onto your website.
Great tips. You've got more for us, haven't you?
I've got so many more. So we're up to tip number 4, and that is to link your website with your social media. We heard a great question from someone in the street talking about social media being a platform. It's a great platform to engage customers, and it needs to link back to your website so that people know it's the same company, and you can use each other you can use each system to bounce off one another and sell similar messages, products and services, special offers, introduce them to your staff, and keep people updated with what's happening in your business through your website and social media simultaneously.
It is confusing, for example, if you're on social media and you see someone's Twitter account and then you click and you go to a website and it looks nothing like.
Exactly.
You just sort of, I get suspicious when I see it. I'm thinking I must be in the wrong place, and it'll just come off.
It needs to be, you need to have links on your website to the correct social media, and the branding needs to say the same messaging. The offers need to be the same. Otherwise, it just confuses your customer, because social media is like miniature websites. And if it doesn't fit within your brand guidelines and the same messaging, you just confuse your customers. And like you, Chrissy, you'll think it's a bit scammy or dodgy, and you won't go ahead with that company. So it's important to keep it not only updated regular like your content, but keep it all linked to one another and looking the same. Otherwise, you're going to confuse your customers.
Yeah, definitely.
And finally, as an SEO man, my final tip tonight, Chrissy, is your your website must have SEO. There's nothing more important for a good website than having SEO. I say to my customers that the best place to hide a dead body is the second page of Google, because nobody looks there. Everybody looks on the first page, and 75% of people click the first 2 search results on Google. So you need a website, and it needs to be at the top of the search engines here in the UK.
And that's exactly what you're doing with Climb 190.
Exactly, exactly. So I think it doesn't make sense to me to work and spend great money and great time investing on a website. Then it's like having a house without a road going to it. You need to direct people to your website, and you do that through SEO, social media, and paid advertising. But I think every good website should start with an SEO campaign.
Amazing tips, Mark. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me, Chrissy.
We look forward to your next appearance to give us some more tips.
Sounds good.
Thank you. Right, everybody, don't go away, because after the break, our guest Bradley Smith will be sharing his incredible story of homelessness and depression to eventually owning a very successful business. But first, between 2015 and 2016, how much did the number of homeless people in the UK rise by? Was it 2%, 16%, or 35%? Find out the correct answer after this break. Welcome back to the Chrissy B Show, everyone. So we hope you're sitting comfortably, because you're not going to want to miss a minute of our next guest story. He went from homeless to owning his own hair salon in Heathrow Airport, and now rubs shoulders with some of the world's most famous celebrities. But first, before the break, I asked you, according to an article by The Guardian, between 2015 and 2016, how much did the number of homeless people in the UK rise by? Was it A, 2%, B, 16%, or C, 35%? The answer is B, 16%. That's right, homelessness in the UK has seen a huge increase in recent years, and it shows no sign of stopping. 4,134 rough sleepers were recorded last year, and the figure is thought to continue to rise. Some charities say that the actual figure may be even higher, as a separate study recorded 8,000 homeless people in London alone. Now, somebody who does have experience with homelessness but was able to get himself out of his situation and running his own highly successful hairdressing business is our next guest, Bradley Smith. Hello, Bradley.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good, yeah.
So, super successful today.
Yep.
You have your own salon.
I sure do.
In Heathrow Airport.
Yep.
Happy?
Yeah, I'm really happy. Yeah, I'm one of the first independent brands to actually get a salon actually inside the actual airport itself.
That's amazing. Well, we're going to be speaking a bit more about that later, but we want to hear all about your story, because you went through some terrible times, even tried to end your life once. So let's take it back to when things started to go wrong for you. Do you remember when things started to turn?
Yeah, I think it was a lot to do with like when you leave school. And at school I wasn't really an academic person, but if you give me something to do with my hands, I'm very creative with my hands. Yeah. So, and then when you leave school after your GCSEs, you just simply like stop and think, wow, what am I going to do now? I don't know which path to go down. And I sort of lost the path of which path to go down. Okay, so you felt a bit lost then? Yeah, I got very lost, and it just got really stressful. And there was like, I don't think I was as much aware at the time as I should have been of like what actual help is out there. Okay. So you didn't actually, maybe, did you ask anyone for help? No, I never really asked. Okay, but it wasn't also obvious for you who to ask in the first place. So then what happened? You were going through that sort of uncertainty, didn't know about what to do in the future. What did that bring on? What more serious implications did it have? I started feeling down and like really depressed, and like you lose confidence in yourself. You become anxious of what people are like saying about you, or are they judging you, or like... And it just becomes so stressful of which path to go down. I just was totally lost. Did you try anything though? Did you try to sort of get a job and? Yeah, I was doing a bit of building work with my dad, but I just, you know, when you do something you're really not happy doing. Yeah, yeah. And it just depressed me so much. I was getting up early. I was doing the building work. I was labouring, but it just wasn't for me. It just I knew in my heart that it weren't for me, but because I knew that and didn't know how to take that and move on with something else, that's when it become quite stressful for me.
Did you ever talk to anyone about how you were actually feeling and the kind of emotions and the thoughts that you were having?
The only reason, like, I never really spoke about it because I didn't really know. I was sort of embarrassed really about how can you talk about, how would you bring it up? Like, how would you say, look, do you know what? I'm really depressed. I really don't know what to do. I need some help. And I just didn't know who to talk to or where to go.
Okay. How did you then relieve that pressure that you were feeling?
Well, I started. I started feeling like pressure. I needed to do something to get the pressure. Like the pressure was so. I was taking like tablets for my headaches. I was getting headaches. Pressure, like, and I just wanted to do something to get really angry. So I used to cut my arms.
Okay.
But I never used to cut it where people could see it. Like, I'd do it in a way where it made me feel better. Like, it wasn't about trying to get attention of someone else or...
Did it make you feel better?
Oh, yeah.
But then afterwards...
I remember waking up the next morning and the pain was just unreal. Like, it was like the after effect of actually cutting your arms. Like, I'd never do it too deep. I'd like maybe just do little cuts, but like all up and down my arms and that, and it just felt so good at the time. The pressure just left. I managed to sleep well, but then you wake up. It's like waking up with if you drink, you have a hangover.
Yeah. So it's just a temporary relief, really, because there was nothing else that you could think of to do.
It was my quick fix
to
obviously get through it.
Yeah.
So, but then I sort of realised then, like, I don't really know what it was. It got to a point where I was doing it like every day, and
really?
like one arm to another arm, like, and it was just getting so painful.
Oh God, I can imagine every day.
And like I'd wear long sleeve tops so that no one could actually see.
Yeah. Wow.
Like, and it just. And then I just knew that that's like not right. I can't.
No.
I need to go and see someone about it.
Did you?
Yeah, I booked myself into a doctor's and went to the doctor. Gave me some tablets which I took, but I sort of researched it a bit, like, because I didn't really want to take tablets.
Yeah.
And I actually found that exercising worked.
Okay.
So.
That helped you?
Yeah.
Okay. Can you tell us about the lowest moment? Because there was a day that you actually had to bridge with a rope.
Yeah. So it was, I think it was just a build-up of everything. So I'd gone from building to hairdressing, from hairdressing to just doing nothing again, because I sort of lost my... It seemed to me that every time I got back on the right path, I'd fall off it again and come onto the wrong path. And I just couldn't take that up and down. It was so, like, at such a young age as well, it was so hard for someone who didn't know what to do, didn't really want to talk about it to anyone.
Yeah.
I just wanted to end my life. I just had enough. I just couldn't. I took so many knockbacks that I just couldn't take another one.
What stopped you then that day?
Well, it was weird because one of my closest friends, who I never really opened up to, but he sort of, I think he knew, like, deep down that I was a bit, like, I was sort of losing my way. And he kept ringing me. Is
this why you're at the bridge?
Yeah, so, before that, I got a rope and I was standing on the bridge, on the dual carriageway of the A3.
Wow.
At the Tollworth roundabout, and I'd actually tied the rope to the actual railing.
Lovely.
And I was just like, and you sit there and you do think, like, wow, like, what am I going to do? Like, am I going to go through with it? Like, but the thing is, like, you think about it, but you're not there. Like, and it's as if you're standing outside watching yourself, and it was so hard, and literally, I remember I picked up the phone and I said, like, I've had enough, like, I can't do it. And then he was begging me to, like, tell me where you are, but I didn't want to. And then he'd keep ringing me, and then I was like, I'm on the A3 roundabout, I can't take it no more. and then literally, I don't know how long it was, but you heard this screech.
Oh, bless him.
And he's a big guy as well, like, and I was a big guy, and he just jumped over he jumped over the balcony, and he literally just grabbed me, and it just, when he grabbed me and pulled me, it just shook me, and I was just...
Brought you back to reality,
yeah,
really,
and I just I remember he threw me in the back of the car, and
That's a good mate.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
He's a really good mate, and he threw me in the back of the car, and I just remember just laying there, and you look out at the car, and you can just see the sky. Yeah. And I remember him talking to me, telling me, "Don't be so stupid." But it was just so distant, the voice.
Looking back now, because obviously the position that you're in now, you have this successful business, and we'll get onto in a second how you got that business. It must be quite like, oh my gosh, if you could see yourself at that time when you were at the bridge, if you could see your future and see, what you would achieve. Yeah. But it's just sometimes people can't even imagine a future when they're in that situation, can they?
I know, and like when I sit there and I like to help people. Yeah. And try and help people out as much as I can with when they leave school and what's the next step.
It's important, isn't it? Because it is a very uncertain time.
And I think if, for the people that are not academic and don't know what to do next, there's so much more out there for you.
There is, definitely.
So much more. And I just, looking back at it now, I just think, wow. Like you sit there
glad
and think,
you're here?
Yeah, glad I'm here. Yeah,
definitely
100%.
Right. No regrets whatsoever.
Yeah, no regrets whatsoever.
Bradley, tell us how you got yourself a hair salon at Heathrow.
So, I'm a very lucky person. I'm extremely lucky, but I do work hard. I am grateful for every person that's helped me out along my journey, and I'm so grateful for it. I actually, before I was a hairdresser, after that period of the bridge, I sort of went homeless, but when I was homeless, I sort of seemed to find myself a bit more.
That's interesting.
As awful as it sounds, and as hard as it was, I used to sleep in a van with that didn't work. That was like my shelter. The actual gearbox had actually broken. I couldn't afford to fix it, but I could start it and warm the van up when I needed to. And I used to do, but even when I was homeless, I never give up. I just never give up, and I will never ever give up on anything. So I used to write postcards out and put them through people's doors, like clean gutters, paint, like little maintenance guy stuff. And then I got quite lucky, and this guy said to me, "How much would you charge to paint the outside of my house?" This house was huge. It was massive, and I was like, God. Little paintbrush.
Oh, bless him. He didn't even have the right equipment.
But I said to him, look, you can pay me on a daily rate. If you get everything, I'll do it. And I remember I woke up at sunrise and I worked till sunset.
Oh, bless.
And then when I got the money for that, I actually got a little one-bedroom, little room. And I was like, that's it. That is it. So I went to... I used to work in a little salon in Staines, and it was on the high street. And I used to work in the salon during the day, and I used to work in a bar at night. I used to say I was Nicky Clark by day, Tom Cruise by night, so cocktails and that. And then one day this woman walked in, and a lady just stands out, and I was talking to her and asking her loads of questions, like, well, what do you do? And this and that. And she was really glamorous. And then I remember my boss saying to me, do you know who that was? And I was like, no. And he was like, that's Bruce Forsyth's wife. You know Bruce Forsyth? And I was like, yeah, I do. Yeah. I was like, wow. And then you sort of think, well, that's a one-hit wonder, one for the box. And then she kept coming back. And then
she liked your work?
Yeah, she did, yeah. And then she introduced me to this lady whose husband owns the hotel that I actually got my first salon in. And them two, husband and wife, lovely people, absolutely changed my life. I remember her stopping me in Staines and being like, Bradley, you need to ring my husband, he's got a hotel. And I was like, okay, love, all right, yeah. My dad's got hotels as well. Do you know what I mean? Good one. We're in Staines, come on. And then, so I took his number and I rang it, and I rang him, and I was thinking, what do I say? So anyway, I rang him, left him a message. The man didn't ring me back till like 11 o'clock that night. I was pacing up and down the house, the roads, everything, getting so worked up about it. But then he was like, come and see my hotel. And him and his wife were really kind enough to help me get my own little salon in the hotel. And then I remember writing to Heathrow and saying, look, you need a salon in the airport. Like, so I've got one here. Really do. We need one here. Trust me, it works. And then like, I absolutely heard nothing. So I was like, okay, well, we won't stop there. I built up a massive clientele at Heathrow. Like I do like so many airport staff, the air stewardesses, and then one day one of my clients rings me. She's like, Bradley, I'll put you forward. They're looking for a hairdresser in Terminal 5.
You go.
I was like, okay.
Amazing.
And then all of a sudden this French guy come and we got talking, and then one thing led to another, and it's only been a year now.
Wow, how's it going?
Yeah, it's really well. It's really well. Yeah, in the one in Terminal 5, we literally just do men. It's designed for the business passenger.
Okay, yeah.
So the guys just come off.
But there's so much scope for different clientele, isn't there?
And because like it's more of an in and out express bar. Like there's not a sink there in Terminal 5. So that's why we designed it more for guys. Okay. But with the ladies, it's like a 3-minute walk to my next one. Okay. So we just sort of...
Brilliant. And you've got more plans to expand, haven't you?
Yeah. Well, now I've got in one terminal, I want every terminal globally.
That's vision for you. Yeah. That's really good. Bradley, what would you say to someone that's watching now that maybe is in that kind of similar situation that you were, where you didn't see a future for yourself, you're feeling low, maybe even suicidal? What would you say to them?
Just don't give up. There's always light at the end of the tunnel, and you just have to keep going, no matter how much you get knocked back. I found it like a boxing match. You get knocked up, you get back up. So no matter what happens, you just get up and keep trying. No matter how many knocks you take at life, it's such an amazing thing life is now. From when I was in my bad path, and now I'm in my good path. But even now, even with business and things like that, I never give up. I just keep going. I keep going. I keep going. I've got a great drive. And just never give up on anything.
Because you found your passion as well, haven't you?
And you have to try different things. Like if you make a mistake, then learn from it, and then quickly adapt and get back on the right path again.
Excellent. Bradley, thank you so much for coming on to share your story. It's really inspiring.
Anytime.
And looking forward to hearing about all your future success.
Yeah, cool. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. Well, everyone, don't go away, as after the break, I'll be speaking to Michael Mcdonnell, telling us how, despite his diagnosis of cystic fibrosis, he has managed to start his own business consultancy. And as always, Dr. Rob Hicks will be answering your medical questions, including this one. There's a very sharp pain coming from my entire right leg. What can be causing this pain? We'll be finding out the answer after this break. Chrissy B, and my show is all about improving your mental health and being happy. Join me every Monday, Wednesday and Friday at 10 p.m. on my channel Sky 203. Visit chrissybshow.tv for more information and subscribe to our YouTube channel Chrissy B Show. You can also follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Chrissy B Show, and on our Facebook page, The Chrissy B Show. Welcome back to the Chrissy B Show, everyone. So we hope you're going to enjoy what's coming up on the rest of today's program, as we have a very inspiring story from Michael Mcdonnell, who has founded a successful business consultancy despite his battles with cystic fibrosis. But first, we have our resident Dr. Rob Hicks on the show to answer your pressing medical questions. And if you have a question for Rob, all you need to do is email us on doctor@chrissybshow.tv. Hello, Rob, and welcome to the show.
Thanks, Chris. Enjoying your tea?
Yes, I am, and we are ready to answer the questions,
yes,
aren't we? Okay, so let's go to the first one. This one sounds quite worrying, Rob. This person says, there's a very sharp pain coming from my entire right leg. What could be causing this?
Oh, Well, that's a very uncomfortable situation
Yeah.
to be in. I think the first bit of advice really is if you've got a sharp pain in your leg and you don't know what's going on, you ought to see your doctor as soon as possible. There are a number of causes of this. One, it could be sciatica. That's when there's pressure on the nerve in the spine and you get a pain that can go all the way down the leg, into your feet. You haven't mentioned this, but maybe you've suffered an injury and it could potentially be that you fractured a bone. Or it could be that actually you've suffered a clot in one of the deep veins in the leg called a deep vein thrombosis or a DVT. So if you've got this symptom plus other ones in particular, so for example the leg is swollen or it's red or it's tender to the touch or it's hot, then I would bypass your doctor and go straight to an A&E department. But certainly with this sort of problem you need to seek some medical advice as soon as possible.
Next question, Rob. I'm a 20-year-old male and just got my first tattoo a few days ago. It's on the back of my neck and I'm very worried that it's infected because it still hurts and is puffy.
One of the consequences, isn't it, of body art is often they look very beautiful, but you've got to make sure that you maintain them, that you look after them, and they do come with some potential side effects. Generally speaking, you get redness and a bit of puffiness. It's normal as part of the healing process after you've had a tattoo, and how long that lasts for is really dependent on how big the tattoo is. So, for example, for large tattoos, it can be up to 10 days. I would urge you though to have a chat with the person who did the tattoo, or indeed speak with your doctor about this, because if you've noticed that actually you've got a lymph gland coming up, that's the sort of thing that raises red flags for me that maybe there might be an infection brewing, particularly also if you're getting a fever or any discharge from the tattoo. So generally speaking, this would be seen, that the redness and the sort of puffiness would be seen as a normal part of having a tattoo, and it will settle down. But with the lymph node and if you have got other symptoms, I'd be a bit concerned that maybe it's become infected. So why don't you ask for a little bit of advice from the tattooist, or pop along and see your doctor and get them to look at it for you.
Definitely. Okay, Rob, next question. I'm a 60-year-old retiree and not currently on any medication. I've recently, over the last couple of days, been experiencing blackouts unless I am laying down. I never feel bad, but when I try to stand, I get dizzy and fall, blacking out for a few minutes. I get up and lay down and all is fine. I blacked out once while on the toilet. I am anemic, but no doctor has felt medication is necessary. I'm wondering what specialist I may need to see. That was quite serious.
Okay, well I think it is, and I would urge you actually to seek medical advice as soon as possible on this, because things have changed since you were last seen. And what it sounds like is you're having a drop in blood pressure when you get up, and that's leaving you lightheaded so that you pass out. It's called postural hypertension, and there are a number of causes for this. So dehydration is one, thyroid problems is another, anemia can cause this sort of problem as well, as can diabetes. So I think this is something not to be ignored. Heart problems, irregular heart rhythms can result in this as well. And you said that you were anemic, didn't need treatment at the time, but things may have changed. You may now need treatment, and this is just one of the symptoms that's being manifested. Infection can cause this as well, and actually people who drink too much alcohol can find that this happens as well. So there is no question that you need advice. I would see a GP in the first instance, and they're likely to refer you to a neurologist, or if it's related to the anemia, specifically the blood, then to a haematologist. But I think if you're struggling to get advice very quickly from your GP, then again, accident and emergency would be the place for you to go.
You actually mentioned something a couple of weeks ago as well, where we had a question where the person had been told something by the doctor, but then symptoms had changed, but the person was a bit reluctant to go back because it's like, oh, the doctor already said it's okay, so I don't need to go back. But if something changes, it's important to go back.
Because what we see when we see somebody for the first time or on one occasion is a snapshot.
Yeah.
So in the time that passes, things can develop. They can get better, they can stay the same, or they can get worse.
Yeah.
And this gentleman, if he's blacking out when he's standing up, then something's not right. No. And that doesn't need to be sat on, that needs to be addressed as soon as possible.
Definitely. Okay, next question. Due to the flu, I have a persistent cough. How do I get rid of it? I've heard that antibiotics and over-the-counter pills don't work. Thanks.
Okay, well actually a persistent cough after the flu is relatively common. Although the other symptoms may have resolved, you can be left with a cough for 2 or 3 weeks. So it's not unusual. And What generally is the cause is that you get something called post-viral bronchospasm. So post-viral means after a viral infection, i.e. the flu. Bronchospasm means that the tubes in the lungs are actually narrowed. So it's like when somebody has asthma, so they cough a lot because they're not actually getting the air in and out as efficiently and as properly as they should be doing. If your cough though is associated with other symptoms like a fever or coughing up a lot of phlegm, or you're getting shortness of breath or chest pain, you do need to see a doctor, because it might be that you've developed a chest infection, a pneumonia, as a secondary complication of the flu. But then again, the cough may be something totally unrelated to the flu. It may be that you've had allergies for a while, that you actually have had asthma and have forgotten that you had it many years ago, and this has sort of prompted these symptoms. So I think, again, a checkup is appropriate here. As far as antibiotics are concerned, for the flu, they won't work. The flu is caused by a virus. Antibiotics treat bacterial infections. And actually you can try things like honey and lemon with some fresh ginger. You can try over-the-counter cough lozenges. Just see whether they work for you. They may not have worked for somebody else, which is why you've been told they're of no use as far as the lozenges are concerned, but they might work for you.
Okay, lovely. Next question. Last night I was playing in a game and collided head-on with a guy much bigger than myself. It immediately knocked the wind out of me and took me about 10 to 15 minutes to recover. I ended up having to sit out the rest of the game. Now today I'm having difficulty breathing. My chest is extremely painful to the touch, and I'm having a hard time doing the simplest of things.
Goodness, we're doing an emergency clinic. And Chris, you're absolutely right. That's what's going through my mind. You need to see somebody straight away, because what may have happened, as Chris rightly said, is you may have fractured a rib. I mean, it may simply that you've just bruised a rib, but you may have fractured, or you may have dislocated the collarbone here where it attaches to the breastbone, the sternum, and that might be the reason. Or you may actually have damaged your lung in some way. So I would have a checkup as soon as possible, please.
Yes, please. Okay, next question. That's just the last one for today, Rob. Hi, I've always had pretty bad allergies, but lately my nose has been bleeding if I sneeze too hard. It usually stops after a minute. Is there something I can do to prevent the bleeding?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And there's lots of things you can do. I mean, one is you mentioned sneezing hard. Well, what you could try and do is try not to sneeze as hard as you have been doing. And there is a way that works for some people that you can stop a sneeze in its tracks. If you actually press here, nobody knows exactly how it works, but you feel you're going to sneeze, press here, you can actually stop the sneeze from happening.
I didn't know that.
So it's worth a try. It doesn't work for everybody, but it's certainly worth a go.
Okay.
The other thing is not to blow your nose too hard. Do very gentle blowing, because if you blow too hard, you're likely to damage the blood vessels in the nose, and then of course they bleed. Don't pick your nose. Don't try and clean your nose by picking, because that will damage in the same way. Then there are a few things you can do. So you can humidify the room that you're in. You can use a nasal spray that is used for allergies, that you're bound to be familiar with. You can use salt water, saline nose sprays, that will ease congestion and remove debris from the nose without damaging it. And then think about keeping your allergies under control, because if you keep the allergies under control, you're actually less likely to sneeze in the first place. But I would urge you, if this persists, the bleeding, to have your doctor check your nose, because sometimes it's because you've got fragile vessels and they actually need to be cauterized. They need to be sealed to stop them from bleeding. Okay. So those are the sorts of things that I would suggest that you do, and I think that will probably solve the problem for you.
And that's it for today, Rob. Thank you so much for answering those questions for us.
Yeah, my pleasure.
And we'll see you again next week.
You will indeed.
You can finish your tea now.
I will, thank you.
Well, everyone, don't go away, because after the break we'll be sharing a very inspiring story from Michael Mcdonnell. Despite his diagnosis of cystic fibrosis, Michael has started his own business consultancy and will be telling us how he managed to overcome his struggles and help others in their business endeavours. Welcome back to the Chrissy B Show, everyone. So now to talk to us about how he managed to build a great career despite his battles with cystic fibrosis is our next guest, Michael Mcdonnell. Welcome to the show, Michael.
It's great to be here.
It's lovely to have you on, because you do have a really powerful story and you have been through some quite difficult times. But can you tell us first of all, what is cystic fibrosis and how does it affect a person?
Well, cystic fibrosis is a genetic condition. It impacts people in many different ways, but it's mostly, in my case, it's mostly my lungs and my digestive system.
Okay. And what does that prevent you or cause?
Well, it causes a build-up of something called mucus, so we all produce it in our bodies anyway, but in cystic fibrosis there's more of an excessive amount, and it tends to clog up things like our tubes in our lungs and that sort of thing. It makes things more difficult, makes the body work a bit harder.
Okay, now you were diagnosed when you were very young?
Yeah, I was 2 months old.
2 months old. And going to school and stuff like that, how was that for you with this condition?
Well, when I was younger, kind of primary school was, I started to understand that I was different. I mean, when we're young, we don't really understand things, we don't really know what life is at that point, so we start asking questions, we start making comments, saying statements, whether we know the meaning of them or not. And yeah, I mean, I was asked questions, things like, you know, why do you have to take those tablets, that medication, that sort of thing. Yeah. And
was that difficult for you?
I think because I was young as well, I didn't really pay much attention to it. But as I got older, so I hit high school, it was because I was understanding a bit more, and I think other people were as well. Okay. So there was more emotion behind the conversations and the statements, and it meant a bit more as I got older.
Okay, all right then. And what would you say was maybe like a low moment for you, or one of your most difficult periods?
I think the more lower point was when I guess I started to accept things a bit more. So when people were passing comments, passing judgments, I started to accept them and started to believe them, which, I mean, depending on what the statements were, you know, it can cause quite a lot of isolation when it's continuous. So sometimes if it happens once, it's not too bad. Yeah. But if it's several times, it starts to eat away at you a little bit, kind of almost chip away.
Were some of the comments quite insensitive, would you say, or was it?
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's hard again because you say things and don't realise the effect that it can have.
It's just ignorance, perhaps.
Yeah. A lot of it is just not knowing. Yeah. And I mean, for some people, it's the lack of desire to know as well. Yeah. Okay. But yeah, I mean, it just caused me to isolate myself because I accepted that I was different. I accepted that, I guess to a certain extent, I thought I wasn't good enough or as good as those people.
Did that make you feel quite low?
Yeah, it made me quite isolated, made me feel like I wasn't good enough at a lot of different things, because it was like no matter how much I tried, I was always this person with cystic fibrosis.
But the interesting thing is now you have your own business and you're actually helping others to better their businesses as well. You know, you're giving advice. What happened within that period where you were feeling so low about yourself and different to everybody else, and then now having the confidence to have a business and help others?
It started, the process started when I was around 21, so my early 20s. I'm 26 now, so 5 years ago, I was diagnosed with diabetes alongside it. And this made me ask questions like, you know, why have I got to this point? Because there are people, I mean, years ago, people weren't getting to 20 years old with cystic fibrosis. Wow.
It's already broke the mold.
Yeah, and it was kind of, okay, well, why have I made it this far? What's been the cause of me getting to where I am? And I realised that there was a few things. So I realised that I was quite persistent. So I was someone that, okay, I might not be good enough, but I'm still going to try. Yeah. I'm still going to do something. I'm still going to do what I can. And I guess as well, I realised that because I started exercising as well, because I realised that benefited me. Yeah. And I realised that the more I do it, the better I got, and the fitter I got, and the stronger I got. So I thought, okay,
so you're really beating all the odds then.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it comes back to the understanding of, well, you might not be good enough yet, too many people don't use that yet in there. They just say you're not good enough and they accept it and
that's it.
That's it.
Yeah.
Where when people start saying not good enough yet, it implies that you can be eventually.
Yeah, definitely.
It implies that you can improve. And I think that definitely caused that kind of reflection in me when I was diagnosed with diabetes, because it meant, okay, well, I've got a bit of another hit, I guess. So what can I do that can better my odds of...
That's so interesting, you know, because someone already having a condition and then hearing, okay, you've got something else now, that's enough to make a lot of people give up and think, oh, you know, why is life like this? And why am I going to bother carrying on? But it had the opposite effect on you, and you just fought harder, which is amazing.
Yeah, I think it made life easier when I realised what was working.
Yeah.
So I think a big issue for people that could be in my situation is they're not really sure what works.
Yeah.
And that, I mean, I've seen people that don't actually try when they don't know what works. They don't try to see what works.
But you kind of ignited something, you're supposed, just to keep looking and finding and doing something with your life.
I didn't want it to. I didn't want to let it beat me.
Yeah,
to put it quite bluntly.
Well, it hasn't, definitely not.
No.
So tell us about your business. How long have you had your business now?
Well, my first business was tennis coaching, so trying to be active when I was younger definitely paid off. That started when I was 16. And then when I was in university, I decided that I wanted to become a personal trainer.
Okay.
Which I didn't want people to know that I had the conditions when I was a personal trainer, because I didn't want them to think any different of me, because I'd experienced it.
Yeah.
So I thought, right, in the big wide world now, I want to be seen as the same as the other people, because I think that if they didn't know, then they wouldn't know I was any less than them, because I feel the same. I feel like I can do things the same as other people, if not better than, and I'd rather be judged for that than just my condition.
And now you've got a consultancy business.
Yeah, when I realised that obviously I was persistent, I was resilient, I had to build things like habits into my daily routine that were based on my condition, like physiotherapy and medication and treatments and things. It made me understand that there's a lot that goes into living in a certain way that means that you can improve, means that you can get better, means that you can actually achieve something that you want to achieve. And I realised that a lot of it was internal. So being persistent didn't used to be something that people understood. You know, what does it take to be persistent? What does it take to be resilient? What habits actually benefit you if you do them every single day? So I started to reflect quite a lot, and I started to realise that a lot of the reasons why I am here is because of the mental side, the mental state that I try and put myself in order to it does work with the business as well, which I find was quite interesting.
It's very interesting the way you've taken what your experiences and your personality traits, because they were there from the beginning, and just transferred it into something like what you're doing now. And making it a big success.
It's really interesting because I wasn't sure if it'd work at first. So I thought, okay, well, I'll take it and I'll use it and I'll see if it works. And then I started helping others with it as well, and they were starting to say, okay, well, if I do things in this way and I do try and be persistent versus like stop and start all the time, it's amazing how things can build up and how things can mount up over time. So it's been interesting.
Amazing. And just a quick question before we go.
Sure.
What would you say to someone that maybe has been diagnosed with something and they think their life's over and they can't be a success in life?
I think when I was first diagnosed with cystic fibrosis, I was very young, so a lot of it was put on my parents, I guess. And they had to put a lot of trust in the doctors, a lot of trust in people, in order to say, look, trust that they know what they're doing, trust that they know what's best, and sometimes you just got to do what you've got to do. And it wasn't me. admittedly, because I was too young to understand it. Where now with the diabetes, it's okay, it's now my job to, if someone says this would be better, they're going to know better than me, because they've been studying it, they know it, they understand it, that's why they're doctors, that's why they understand what's going on. Listen to them, but if you ask them questions and if you actually get clearer yourself as well, they're more than happy to say alter it based on your preferences if needed. It's not like it's a one-size-fits-all, almost a cookie-cutter type of situation, because everyone's different. So I think trusting people's fine, but then having the ability to adjust and change and make it work best for you is, I would say, was the best option.
Okay, brilliant. It's been an absolute pleasure having you on, Michael. Thank you so much for sharing your story.
You're very welcome.
And all the best for the future.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Well, everyone, we have reached the end of today's program, but if you have an inspiring story to tell us just like Michael has, you can email us on info@chrissybshow.tv. You can also tweet us at Chrissy B Show or leave a message on our Facebook page, The Chrissy B Show. And if you'd like to know more about me and how I overcame depression and other mental health issues, you can visit my personal website, which is mylifeafterdepression.com. Until next time, bye for now.